And welcome to Atlantic City, New Jersey, inside the DraftKings Sportsbook at Resorts for the debut episode of The Fighter and the Writer. I'm Chris Mannix. He is the former junior middleweight champion, Sergio Mora. He is the fighter. I'm the writer. First episode of this new show here on DAZN. I'm excited about it, Sergio. We've been talking on broadcast for many years. We've been talking on podcasts for many years now. We get a new platform to do it. And people out there think that we don't really like each other. And the fact is, they're right. We don't like each other. So it is just good to be here with you once again.
You know, you annoy me, but I respect you, Chris Mannix. And that's the reason I like working with you. You know, I'm forced to work with you. I get paid to work with you. But yeah, you rub me the wrong way, and I think it comes across on camera. But here's the thing. You know you're boxing. You're a hard worker. You're ambitious. These are all qualities and traits that fighters have. So as a fighter, I got to respect your hustle. And here we are. Yeah. And your personal and professional life is flourishing since meeting me.
Once again, you are taking credit for my career and my marriage. So yes. I can never get you to let that go.
No. I think your life has changed ever since meeting me. For 7 years, I think you've just been, your trajectory of success and love, everything that you've been missing in your life has just flourished since meeting the Latin snake.
What are you talking about? All right, we're here in Atlantic City, which I'm shocked this is the first time you've ever been to Atlantic City, Sergio. You were a fighter for, almost 20 years. You've been in boxing for even longer. You never been to AC?
Never been to AC. The only thing I know about Atlantic City is like the old heydays of the Trump Plaza and the fights, and of course Jersey Shore on MTV.
What are you doing? Stop fist bumping.
Jersey Shore, come on.
I know. Well, we're here for the Boots Ennis Eimantas Stanionis fight. That is happening on Saturday. We're going to talk a lot about that. Boots Ennis is actually going to join us here in studio for our debut show. But I want to start, Sergio, with some of the big news this week. And that is Dmitry Bivol's decision to relinquish his WBC title and move forward with a planned trilogy fight against Artur Beterbiev. David Benavidez is the mandatory challenger for Dmitry Bivol's WBC belt. The WBC came out and said, hey, you have got to fight David Benavidez if you want to keep that title. Dmitry Bivol, and apparently what was a cold letter to Mauricio Sulaiman, said, I'm not going to keep that title. I am now going to be the unified champion. David Benavidez has been upgraded to full champion. What do you make of what you saw from Bivol's camp?
Well, listen, that was the championship I won, the WBC belt, and that was my dream to win that green belt. But nowadays, the belt has come second to the money these fighters are making. So I respect the fact that Dmitry Bivol, did that, because he's chasing the money, the legacy, and then the belt second. I feel bad for David Benavidez, who's on the sideline here, but this is what happens when you get great fights. Bivol Benavidez has been a great fight. And of course, Mauricio Sulaiman and the WBC is going to want to have a piece of that in a percentage. But politics needs to step aside to pugilism. And I love the fact that Bivol is his own boss, making his own calls, and he goes wherever he wants.
Can I just look straight to camera and say to Mauricio Sulaiman, come on, man. David Benavidez is a great fighter, to Sergio's point. But for 3 years, David Benavidez was the mandatory challenger to Canelo Alvarez. And Mauricio, you in the WBC didn't do anything. If Dmitry Bivol was Mexican, would you be forcing this type of fight to happen? I don't believe it. It's like I'm not begrudging David Benavidez from getting a big opportunity. He deserves it. He deserved opportunities at Canelo, and he deserves this opportunity against Dmitry Bivol. But the idea that the WBC is standing on principle and saying that Benavidez is next, you had opportunities, you had chances to give Benavidez his shot against Canelo Alvarez, and you didn't do it. Bivol's making the right call here, because this comes down to money. Dmitry Bivol made north of $10 million to fight Artur Beterbiev the first time. He made a little under that to fight him the second time. He'll probably make a lot more than that to fight him the third time. Dmitry Bivol is not in the twilight of his career yet, but he's definitely on the backside of it, right? He's looking to cash in on big paydays. David Benavidez is a big fight. It probably would have made him $5-6 million, but it's probably half of what he is going to make to fight Artur Beterbiev for the third time. This is not about ducking somebody or avoiding a certain fight. This is about Dmitry Bivol going, look, Turki Al-Sheikh, who is bankrolling all this, he said he doesn't want to see me against Benavidez. He does want to see me against Artur Beterbiev for a third time. That's what it comes down to, and that's why Dmitry Bivol made the right call.
Money talks, man. And the thing about Bivol is, he He's never made this type of money in his entire career. He was undefeated. He was a champion. He's fought the absolute best. He just never got this opportunity. And fighters that are in his position, when they finally get that mega payday, he
was like 1 million, 2 million, like nothing like that. Like this is.
It reminds me of Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin had that knockout streak. He was fighting on HBO. He was packing crowds. I mean, Mexicans loved, this fighter from Kazakhstan. But what happened once he signed a DAZN deal? It was a big deal. It was a lot of money, and then the hunger started waning. He started looking vulnerable. The hunger disappeared with the money. That's what happens when fighters start making life-changing money.
You don't think that Bivol, like the hunger didn't disappear with Bivol.
I'm getting to that. I don't think Bivol's cut from that cloth. Bivol has a lot more fight left. He wasn't as aggressive as a fighter as Gennady Golovkin. So Golovkin's career was shortened because of how physical he fought. Bivol was more of a boxer. He's still more of a boxer. He moves around. He's one of the best jabbers in boxing. Has good defense, tight defense. And he's not at the end of his prowess like Beterbiev is. He's still kind of in the middle, mid 30s, low 30s. So Bivol has a lot more upside, but I love the fact that he's taking the bull by the horns and making this decision.
I think part of it too, beyond just the money, is that Artur Beterbiev is 40. We don't know how long Beterbiev is going to be in this game. Like if Bivol didn't fight him now, and let's say something bad happens, we lose to Benavidez, which wouldn't be a surprise. Benavidez is great. Benavidez is going to be a unified champion at 175 at some point. I'm sure of it. You lose that, and all of a sudden the payday is gone. It's crazy. Like you would have to have terrible management, terrible advisors around you to tell you not to move forward with this Beterbiev fight. So undisputed was great. You accomplished that. Now you're the unified champion. You get a chance to fight one more time. Let's talk about the Katie Taylor-Amanda Serrano fight, because that was front and center in New York City this week. Taylor and Serrano meeting in a press conference to get ready to fight for a third time between these two. Katie's won the first two fights, Sergio. Is there any reason to believe that she won't win a third one?
I'm worried about Katie in this one, and I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast because she's going to be 39 years old in a few months this summer, and you could only have a certain amount of wars. I mean, if you look at Katie Taylor's brilliant Hall of Fame career from the amateurs to now, she's fought the absolute best ever since turning pro. And those physical fights with Delphine Persoon, Chantel Cameron, Amanda Serrano, these are rematches, physical fights that go the distance. She's not a knockout puncher, so every fight, not only is she going through a 2-3 month hard camp sparring, but she's going 10 rounds, 12 rounds. She's going the distance with the best fighters in the world, and it's bound to catch up with you the older you get. My last fight was at 38 years old, and I could tell you my legs were shot. I decided in that fight. I won that fight, by the way, but I decided in the 6th round. I remember looking up and telling guy, "Get me out of this fight," and I promise you I'm going to retire. I was 38 years old. I can imagine doing it at 39, especially after all those wars that the great Katie Taylor has been through. I think this time's not going to be good for her, man.
So I don't think that Amanda Serrano is ever going to win a decision against Katie Taylor. I think Katie is so adept at fighting a certain style, her style, in 2-minute rounds that I think she's always going to wind up on the right side of these decisions. Like the way she flurries, bounces in and out. Yeah, her legs are starting to go a little bit, but she's still doing enough. I mean, last time was ultra competitive, but it was also a unanimous decision in favor of Katie Taylor. I can see a decision playing out the exact same way. But to your point, at some point she's going to get caught, right? Like Amanda Serrano likes to talk about how she's a smaller fighter. She's not, right? Like Amanda Serrano has a remarkable ability to cut down in weight, to get down and be the biggest 126-pound women's fighter that you've ever seen. She was actually fighting like 115 at one point. But she's powerful. She is the power puncher in this particular matchup. And when I think about these two fighting, one of the great rivalries that comes to mind is Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez, who fought 3 ultra close fights in their first 3 fights. The 4th time around, it was close right up until the very end, and then Marquez caught Pacquiao with that straight right hand. I could see something like that happening because in both of these first 2 fights, Katie's been hurt. Like it happened in the 5th round of the first fight, a little bit earlier in the second fight. Like Amanda, who's a little bit younger, probably a little bit fresher because she hasn't been in the kind of wars that Katie has been in. I think there's a decent chance that she's going to catch her. So to me, there's two ways this fight could end. A Katie Taylor decision that's razor close, that's disputed once again, or Amanda Serrano by knockout.
I favor the latter because whenever you have great trilogies with great fighters, you normally get a decisive winner. I mean, you go back to, Ali and Frazier, you go back to Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield, Canelo Golovkin. That was a, one-sided fight with Canelo. And that's just the way it is because they're familiar with each other. They're getting older. They start not being as sharp because they already know what the fighter's bringing. So, I've had 4 rematches in my fight, and all 4 of my rematches, I was not good. The element of surprise was gone. I can't imagine having those rematches in my late 30s. No matter how sharp I am, no matter how confident, my legs aren't what they were, 5, 10 years in the past. And Katie Taylor, what made her so great was her legs, her sharpness, her angles. That's what made her an Olympic gold medalist. That's what made her have success so early, and her to have just skyrocketed to a title in lightweight and then going up and moving in weight because of her legs. It was her legs that was able to do that. It wasn't her power. Katie
she
Taylor's
bounces
power.
in and out really well. That's been a staple to her. Like, she's able to get in and get out and flurry. Like, Amanda has pushed hard for these 3-minute rounds. No way Katie Taylor's ever going to do that. Like, Katie Taylor fights perfectly. Her style fits perfectly for 2-minute rounds. Like, as long as she is the A side, she is going to be fighting in 2-minute rounds type of fights. I also, Sergio, I don't think this is going to be the last time we see these two women in the ring together. Like, I don't think this is it. Like, if Amanda Serrano comes out with a win and it's competitive, like, Katie's not going to walk away on that, and Amanda's not going to walk away from the money that comes with that. Like, could they fight 4 times? Yes. Could they fight 5 times? Yes. Could they fight 6 times? Probably not. But, I think you're going to be talking about this rivalry in the way that we talked about Pacquiao against Marquez, Rafael Marquez against Israel Vasquez. They fought 4 times. Jake LaMotta against Sugar Ray Robinson. They fought 6 times.
I get your point.
I'm just saying, I just think there's nobody else for these two to fight but each other. You're not, pining for Amanda Serrano against Sky Nicholson. You're not begging for, Katie Taylor against Caroline Dubois. You're looking at each other. So if these two fight and it's another great fight, which I think it's going to be, there's going to be a push to see them fight for a 4th time.
I think it ends decisively. I'm going to go with history. I think it ends decisively. I'm going to go on a limb and say it ends by knockout.
You're saying Amanda by knockout.
I think Amanda finally stops her.
But if she stops Katie Taylor, you think Katie's going to walk away after that? You think Katie's not going to want to get her lick back?
Yes, I think she is. I think she already made the money. I think she already accomplished everything she wanted to accomplish in
she could have said
boxing.
that after her last fight. She beat her for the 2nd time. She didn't need to do a 3rd fight. Probably doesn't need the money. She lives in the middle of nowhere, Connecticut.
It doesn't matter. Money's money. I mean, it's still millions and millions of dollars, and then it's life-changing generational money, and then she can do something else. I mean, she's an all-time great. Katie Taylor's an all-time great, and she's a hero in Ireland. But I just think this is it. I told you last time it should have been it. I don't want to see Katie Taylor hurt. I mean, I'm a big fan of Katie Taylor. In the last fight, she got hurt, and I seen her legs going out. I seen the weakness.
Her team saw some of that too.
Yeah,
you just
don't
can't
want to
stop
see
Katie
her.
from. This is what she does.
It's hard to leave on top. Only fighters, smart fighters, Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward, to leave on top
Sinisa
at
Estrada.
the peak. Sinisa Estrada.
There you go.
Great fighters leave on top because they already did everything they wanted, from the amateurs to the pros. They want every title they could think of. They got the money in the bank. They got their marbles in their head, and they're respected by their peers. What else do you want? You're just playing with fire now. You're literally gambling. You're gambling with your health, your reputation, your record. If I was in the team of Katie Taylor, I would advise her after this fight, win, lose, or draw. That's it. That is it.
There's going to be a huge audience watching this fight. 15, 20 million watching on Netflix. Probably a sold-out crowd at Madison Square Garden. If Katie comes out on the wrong end, I can't see her competitive fire allowing her to walk away from it.
Even if she gets stopped?
I think even more so if she gets stopped. Remember when Pacquiao got stopped by Marquez, it wasn't Pacquiao that didn't want to do it a 5th time. It was Marquez that wasn't pushing for that fight.
Because he was smart.
He was smart. He's like,
decided, this is it.
He's like George Costanza. He's walking away. I'm out of here. Like, after telling a good joke, he walks out. That's what Marquez
you should
did.
do. That's what you should do. I think, fighters rely on timing inside the ring. They got to rely on timing outside the ring. The perfect timing to walk away.
Yeah.
You know who walked away with great timing?
Not you.
Me.
No, you didn't.
I left on top. I left with a win.
You left because no one else would fight you. That's why you left.
And I wasn't getting opportunities either, but I left with a win. Yeah. And I left money on the table. But, you know, to do that is very difficult because we've been doing this since we were kids. We know nothing else. I don't have no fancy college education.
What money did you leave on the table? Oh, Charlo. You were going to fight.
They were thinking about Charlo. They were thinking about, man, they offered me to fight
Big
Golovkin.
Charlo or Little Charlo?
I think it was the big Charlo.
Oh, okay.
They offered me to fight Golovkin, Kelly Pavlik, Jermaine Taylor. These are all, you know, and then finally the Charlos and everyone else.
But Charlo was at the end, right? That was after the Pero Angulo.
Yeah, that was in the end, and I just, my legs weren't there. Yeah. My legs weren't there, and I could only put myself in Katie Taylor's shoes. I mean, she's gone through a lot more physical fights than I have, and the money she's made, the lives that she's changed, not only for herself, but her team and her family. I mean, I applaud Katie Taylor. That's it. Go off into the sunset and you know, do something else.
Yeah, you're right. 2 fights with Delphine Persoon, 2 fights with Chantel Cameron, 2 fights against Amanda Serrano. Like, these are the kind of wars that if it was a men's fighter we'd be talking about, we'd be saying like, whoa, enough. You got to walk away. If she doesn't come out on top in this one, if she comes out on top, I think almost no question she would walk away. If she doesn't, I think they're going to run it back for a 4th time. I want to ask you about Keyshawn Davis, who has agreed to a deal to take on Edwin De Los Santos, defending Keyshawn's 135-pound title. This was a matchup that we've been talking about for about a month now. It seemed like it had fallen apart in recent days. It has been cobbled back together. Keyshawn's going to return to his hometown of Norfolk, Virginia, and fight Edwin De Los Santos. De Los Santos has not fought since that really ugly fight against Shakur Stevenson. Lost that fight about 1.5 years ago. This the right fight for Keyshawn? You like this fight for Keyshawn?
I don't like it, but I understand why. I mean, it's a homecoming for Keyshawn Davis. That's always good. He can send another statement to all the people in his weight division. Like he sent a statement to Richardson Hitchens when he knocked out Lemos in 2 rounds and Hitchens went the distance with him. He could send a message to Shakur Stevenson, who kind of had
but he's not fighting Shakur Stevenson. Like,
doesn't matter. Yeah. He sends a message. That's all I'm saying. Sends a message to these guys that are looking his way. And look, he's a champion now. He needs to carry himself like a champion. He has knockout power. He has that amateur pedigree. He has charisma. That's one thing that my trainer used to say. You can't teach power, you can't teach charisma. Keyshawn Davis has both. And I love the fact that the promotion is taking him to his hometown, taking him to Virginia, because Virginia doesn't get that many fights.
Sold out or almost sold out. Maybe he did sell out the last time he was there. It was incredible.
I love seeing that because they're passionate fans. I mean, the great Pernell Whitaker came from Virginia.
He's got 2 brothers fighting on the undercard as well. It's great. I don't. Look, the fight is what it is. I don't. If you're going to say the fight is not great, you have to say what the most reasonable alternative was going to be. He wasn't going to get like Williams Zepeda. Williams Zepeda and Shakur are doing this dance. Yeah. I ultimately think Zepeda and Shakur are going to fight each other. I think there is going to be money in a Saudi Arabian deal that gets the 2 of them in the ring, ultimately. Nobody at Top Rank has heard from Vasily Lomachenko in a long time. So nobody knows what Lomachenko is going to do with that IBF belt. That leaves Keyshawn with limited options. This is a reasonable title defense. De Los Santos is a good fighter. Like you said, a homecoming type of fight. It's a good stay busy fight to me. Like, I'm not discrediting De Los Santos as an opponent, but like, this is what you want to do. You don't want to take months and months off while you wait for an even bigger fight. Stay busy, stay sharp, defend your title, and put yourself in position for a bigger fight.
And I think Davis' style works well against De Los Santos, a hard-punching southpaw that's aggressive, but he keeps his chin up in the air. What I love about Keyshawn Davis is that he's a vicious body puncher. He fights southpaws really well as well, but he's a great body puncher. I think to break down a fighter like Santos is going to the body first, because that's going to want to concentrate his elbows to block downstairs. And like I said, he keeps his chin in the air, and then the looping shots over the top. Davis is great at setting up power shots, and I like the stay busy fight. I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all, like I said. And if he can get the stoppage against a fighter that Shakur, who's one of the best in the world, couldn't do, sends a message.
Well, the optics are great too. Like fighting in front of a passionate crowd in your hometown. Like, the Lemos win was impressive, but the fact that he did it in front of a packed house that was going crazy, like the visual, the television part of that was fantastic. And I think that's good for Keyshawn because, he's looking for that big fish, right? Like, he wants to fight Tank. Like if Tank winds up beating Lamont Roach in the rematch and he's looking to continue his career, well, here you go. You've got a opportunity here to fight Keyshawn Davis, who has been active, who has got a good fan base, who has got a great fighting style. Like this is the right decision for Keyshawn and for Top Rank. The question is, what is Lomachenko going to do down the line? I don't know. He might have decided to walk away from the game ultimately. All right, let's talk about the reason we are in Atlantic City. Boots Ennis against Eimantas Stanionis. The best against the best at 147. Boots and Stanionis both have titles. Ring Magazine belt on the line as well. Tough few months for Boots Ennis, right? Like, doesn't look great in his win over Karen Shukajan, and then spends the next few months like defending himself for not moving up in weight and facing Virgil Ortiz. And like that was the first time, Sergio, that Boots has faced real criticism. He's kind of been like the anointed one over the last few years, the heir apparent to Terrence Crawford. The last couple of months, it's like, why didn't you fight Virgil? Were you ducking Virgil? You said you're going to move up to 154. Why didn't you move up to 154? The criticism he's taken, do you think he's deserved it?
Yeah, I think he has. But that's the thing when you're a champion. That's the reason when you're that talented, you're going to get criticized for every decision you make. And I think, it is a bad look, to say that you're willing to fight Bud Crawford. I read somewhere that he was willing to fight Bud Crawford, a pound for pound great, but then he won't fight Virgil Ortiz, and then he would, say that he's moving up in weight, and he talks about having weight issues, but now he doesn't have weight issues. And then if he has a bad performance this weekend, he can blame weight issues because he doesn't look good in those pictures, leading up to the weigh-in. So this is the thing when you're outgrowing a weight division, and it happens to every fighter, but you decide to have one more fight and suck dry to make that one fight, and then you look bad and something terrible could happen and said, I should have moved up earlier. I agree with the criticism, and we're critics now. We got to point fingers. We got to say, hey, man, listen, it's a terrible look. Virgil is a 147-pounder, huge 147-pounder. Moved up to 154, is still a big 154-pounder, but that's who you're going to be facing. But Crawford was able to do that. He was able to go against a legitimate 154-pounder and win a championship, but it wasn't easy. Mm-hmm. It's not easy going up in weight, and if Boots really thinks he's one that once-in-a-lifetime special pound-for-pound talent and the next, coming of a Bud Crawford, you got to take fights like these, man. You have to take fights like these to make a statement and prove that not only are you the best at 147, but you can go out of your comfort zone, go to 154, and still call out and fight the best. And I just think right now, he's struggling with a lot of moving pieces, from his personal issues with the weight, the right decision as a business-minded guy, and the killers at 154. He's stuck in between a rock and a hard place.
I think the criticism of him is fair, in large part because he kind of opened the door for it, right? Like I was standing in the ring with him right after that fight against Shukajan, and he said multiple times, like, maybe it's time for me to go to 154. Now, it would be one thing if there wasn't a great option out there for him at 154. But within months of that title defense, he gets Turki Al-Sheikh coming to the table with a Virgil Ortiz fight.
With life-changing money, career high paydays.
Multi-million-dollar offer to face a guy that we've been talking about him facing for months now, or years, years. Like going back to when Virgil was at 47. Like these were the two guys, the two young lions at 47, the guys that were going to take over the division. Well, Virgil moved up in weight, and Boots decided he didn't want to do it. Now, he's staying for a good fight. Like if he had stayed at 47 and defended this belt, it would have been terrible.
I was about to say that.
It would have been bad. But at the very least, he is in a good fight against Eimantas Stanionis, who is legitimately the number 2 guy in this weight class. Like Brian Norman, good young fighter, coming up, got a title. I think Stanionis is on a higher level. Mario Barrios, a couple of years ago, I probably would have said is on a higher level, but I think Barrios has faded since then. So I think this really is 1 versus 2 at 147. It was something Boots has said to me a couple of times, and to other people as well. He wants to win a title in the ring. Now, can you relate to that? Like Boots, he had that interim title, the IBF interim belt, and then he was elevated to world champion after Crawford vacated the belt. Boots wants to win a title in the ring. Can you empathize with that?
I could understand it, because if you inherit a belt, if you get put into that position, you're a title holder, you're not a champion. You need to beat a champion to become a champion. that's always, fighters have a lot of pride. We don't want to be called title holders. When you write on your article, in your articles, and you write title holder, it gets me because he won. He beat a champion. He won that championship. Call him a champion. A title holder is someone different. An email belt, like they were calling Devin Haney back in 135. He received his belt in the email.
Who started that one? Oh, Teofimo probably.
Teofimo did.
One, yeah.
But it makes sense, and it's a good dig. It's a good dig because it makes all the sense in the world. So I get it, man. I totally get it. Fighters want to fight the best. They want to say they beat a champion to become a champion, and it goes down in history as that.
So what kind of test do you think he's going to get here? Like, we just had Stanionis here minutes ago. And, first of all, Stanionis, while we're speaking, his wife could give birth to his first child. It's crazy that he's here getting ready for a fight while his wife is back in Europe preparing to give birth to his child. But, is this, how stiff a test do you think this is going to be for Boots? Because we've looked at some of the odds being here. Boots is a huge favorite to win this fight.
The odds are crazy to me. I don't understand them. So for the first time, I'm just not going to listen to the odds makers in the book because they're wrong. Stanionis not only has the hunger of an undefeated champion, he has the hunger of a man that is fighting for his family, a newborn child. I've been there before. I know the hunger that it takes to it. You want to welcome your kid with a win, with a victory. You want to be financially stable, have the next fight. That's hunger. You bring that to the ring. And he's going to need it against Boots, especially against these odds. But stylistically, it's going to be an all-time great fight. I just don't see it any other way. Stanionis has the style to make it physical. He has the experience to make it a great fight. And like we saw with Boots in his fight against Chukadzian, he gets hit. So there's vulnerabilities there. And this man has as much pedigree, if not more, as an Olympian than Chukadzian had. So, yeah, man.
He's got more. He was a European gold medalist. He was an Olympian, like you said. He is undefeated. He is a power puncher. He's got a great team behind him with the wild card folks led by Marvin Somodio. He's legit. I think this is going to be an ultra-competitive fight. But let me ask you this part of it. Who needs a win here more? Both these guys are undefeated. Both are looking to take a big step forward. But who can least afford to take a step back?
Boots. Because if you remember his first homecoming in Philly against David Avanesian, he got the knockout. He had everyone there. It was 10,000 plus. I'm like, wait a minute, a star's born here. A star is born in Philadelphia. And we always knew Boots just needed that platform to become a star because he had the talent. But then he took a step back with Chukadzian. The house wasn't as packed. It wasn't as rabid fans.
That's because nobody really wanted to see that
fight. He took a step back. Well, that too. But he still took a step back by not being able to stop a fighter that he already went 12 rounds against. So Boots needs it more. Not only for his fan base, not only for all eyes on him, his pound for pound status, and the guy that's in front of him that's just as hungry and unbeaten as him. We got two champions. This is exactly what should motivate fighters like Boots. This moment is what makes greatness. This is like 1980s when the best fought the best, and there was loaded weight divisions in welterweight. It wasn't just Leonard Hearns and Benitez. There were so many under that were great fighters just waiting for the opportunity. This is opportunity number one, number two. This is like going back to the 80s, having the best fight the best. But Boots needs to do something great, or else he's going to take another step back after this fight.
I don't disagree with you that Boots needs a win, but I don't know how you look at this fight and think that Stanionis doesn't need it more. Stanionis looked like a rising star in 2022. He beats Radzab Butayev, becomes a title holder. He had the secondary version of that belt. It looked like he was going to do big things in his 20s. All the things going for him. And then he's just off, right? The Virgil Ortiz debacle was well documented. There was so many stops and starts, and that fight ultimately doesn't happen in 2023. 2024, he gets one fight, one win against Gabriel Maestre, but that wasn't a high-profile fight. Eimantas Stanionis is 30 years old. If he loses this fight, what happens to him? It's not like he's going to go right into another big fight.
No.
If Boots loses, he's going to 54. And there'll be opportunities for him up there. Maybe not an immediate fight with Virgil Ortiz, but he's still going to have Matchroom behind him. He's still going to have a name. He's still going to have chances to fight big fights. I don't know what happens to Stanionis if we lose this fight. He's going to have to go back to the drawing board. And at 30, still time to do it, but it's going to take a while, especially when you don't have the kind of backing that Boots Ennis has.
Look, man, I hate to say this, but I've seen it happen already too many times. Whenever a fighter that's so dangerous and unknown with a Eastern European name or a Central, Kazakhstan area.
I can see your mind wonder where Lithuania is on the map.
The geography of it.
Yes.
But you know what I'm talking about, a hard to pronounce name, especially in the States. You can't lose. You cannot lose because one loss, no matter how close it is like 3 or 4 steps back because you're not a natural, home-built, marketable fighter. Think MJ Akhmadaliev. He was great. One close loss on the highest level in the unification, it's been hard for him to get back. Israel Madrimov, I think, is going to be in a similar position. Came up barely short against Bud Crawford. I'm curious to see where he comes back. That's just how it is when you're that threatening, when you're that unknown, and when you're that dangerous. One loss, no matter how competitive, can set you back more than if you were just another fighter with an easier to pronounce name.
Easier to pronounce name.
I
like that's how you base your predictions on.
No, it's a fact, man. It really is a fact because sometimes there's so many great talent that comes out of Central Asia and Eastern Europe.
I agree.
But if you have one loss, once you crack the market, think about Gennady Golovkin.
If he would have lost, an example.
If he would have lost those early fights, he would never have become the Hall of Fame great that he is.
Europe somewhere. I agree with that part of it. But I think Stanionis has a lot to lose, man. Like I think if he doesn't win this fight, it's going to take him a while to get the opportunity to get back on top. All right, when we come back, we will be joined here on set by Jaron "Boots" Ennis. Boots back in Atlantic City, back in Boardwalk Hall, and it feels like this is the venue in the city where things got really good for you a couple of years ago. You beat Roy Monvilla here in AC. That was probably one of, not the best wins of your career up to this point. What memories do you have kind of fighting here?
Well, that's one of my biggest memories, fighting here, fighting Roman Villa. I fought here, I fought Michael Nudis, I'm gonna say, what was it, like 2018? Mm-hmm. I fought a lot of times here too as well, so, I'm comfortable fighting Atlantic City, and it's like a home away from home.
Do you feel like that Villa fight was a kind of a coming out party in a way for you? I mean, Villa was a once beaten guy, powerful guy. There was a lot of expectations going to that fight. What was that win for you?
That was a great one. He was just coming off a win against Rashidi Ellis, and I was originally supposed to fight Rashidi Ellis that night but he messed up the plans and he beat Rashidi Ellis, so I wound up fighting Roman Villa, and it made for a great fight. The fans loved it. I put a historic fight on.
You're a full champion since then. You're 2-0 since then. How do you feel like it's gone since that victory?
It's been going good, but like I said before, I'm champion, but I haven't yet to fight for the belt. I was given the belt, and there's no way I could, lead this division without conquering my goals and conquering what I want. And I'm finally getting what I want, finally getting what I deserve, and that's unifications and collecting these belts.
When you look back at the last 2 wins, the Avanesian win, the Shukajan win, what grade would you give yourself?
To be honest, that's like a bottom tier grade. I really don't. I ain't even really worrying about them 2 fights for I'm worrying about what's in front of me, and y'all gonna see on Saturday night. I'm gonna show y'all why I'm the best in the world.
Well, along those lines, I think your dad said something to the effect of maybe you were looking too much for knockouts.
It's not that. It's just that I'm tired of fighting guys like that. I want to fight. I want to fight with who I want to fight. I want to fight for the belts. I want to fight the top guys and stuff like that. So I'm finally getting what I want. Fighting these top guys at this weight division and unifications, and that's what I want. I'm getting what I want. Getting what I finally deserve, and instead of waiting around fighting these bottom tier guys, and it's hard to get up for fights like that and things like that. So
was it difficult finding that motivation in training? Getting going against a guy like Shukajan, who you had already faced, Avanesian, who was kind of a late replacement. Did it make it difficult to be completely locked in during training camp?
I mean, I'm always completely locked in, but like I said before, I thought I did a good job of staying focused, staying locked in, and for those camps, but it's just hard to not the Avanesian fight, but the Karen thing, like the whole situation with that. I mean, I beat him 12-0 the first time, and then to make him my mandatory, it was crazy, after I beat him already. But, at the end of the day, it's boxing. It is what it is. I had to fight my mandatory again, so I did it. So be it. That's what you got to do when you champion. But like I said, from here on out, I need my belts. You know, I'm here to collect these belts.
You beat Karin, and in the ring afterwards, you said to me, maybe it's time to go up to 154. What changed since then?
If I tell you I might come to the party and I don't come, I just said I might. You know, the might was because if I don't get these unifications. But my whole goal was to get these unifications before I move up. I can't lead this division without finishing business, handling my business at this weight division. So that's what it is. You know, I'm here to stamp my legacy and stamp my name at the 147-pound weight division. And like I said, show the world I'm the best in the world. You know, have my name up there with the greats. You know, Floyd Mayweather, Sugar Ray Leonard, and those guys like that.
Is that something you kind of came to after you had a little bit of separation from the fight, or after you let kind of the emotion of the fight come over, that, or did you know right away that you can't leave 147 without at least collecting one more belt?
That was always my thing. I even said it. I was saying it during like any press conference or anything that I had after that fight. So it just, that's my goal. And if that's my goal, that's what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying?
You have been a really popular guy for a while now. You've been viewed as the heir apparent to Terrence Crawford at 147. What was it like the last few months kind of taking criticism for not taking a fight against Virgil, for not fighting a different guy?
I'm not worrying about those guys right now. I'm focused on Stanionis. You know, I'm focused on what's in front of me.
Was it frustrating though, any feeling criticism for the first time? I think Eddie Hearn said as much. He said this is probably the first time that you've, experienced kind of blowback, publicly in your career.
Yeah, it was a bunch of miscommunication. And everybody got it all wrong. The people, podcasters, or everybody think they know what they talking about. They don't know what they talking about. I just let it rock, because I really don't care. I don't mean to say I don't care, but it's just, I don't care. I don't care what nobody say, and people don't know what they talking about. Podcasters, YouTubers, think they know what they talking about. They don't know they don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and there was a lot of miscommunication going on, and it was out of my hands. And y'all painted this narrative like I ducked this person. I'm not. Ain't nobody to be ducking. Like y'all crazy. Y'all must not know who I am. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm gonna show y'all. I don't really don't do too much talking. I'm gonna show y'all why I'm the best in the world. And after I, handle my business at 47, I'm gonna move up to 54.
What was the biggest thing people got wrong over the last few months?
Just everything. It's stuff that I don't even really want to talk about. Like it's the ducking thing. Like I said, the ducking thing. Like he not Virgil, not nobody to be ducking. Like he a regular fighter. Like he nobody to be ducking. He a good fighter, but he, like what y'all crazy. But like I said, like y'all gonna feel my energy. Y'all gonna see. I'm gonna show y'all.
This might be you've got maybe a chip on your shoulder more than I've seen you in the previous fights that I've covered. Do you feel that way? Do you feel like you've got maybe something more to show than you've had before?
No, I'm gonna go out there and do me. I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna show out. I'm gonna have my fun. Y'all gonna see though. I'm bringing back them belts home to Philadelphia on Saturday.
When you get through the last couple of fights, I mean, you're always trying to improve, right? You're always, and every fighter is. What are you working on in the gym going into this fight?
I work on everything. You got to work on everything. You can't just be one way. So, I'm trying to work on everything and just staying calm. Having my fun. And letting the knockout come. Don't look for it.
When you were looking at potential other champions to fight, there are 3 other champions that are out there. Did you know which one was going to step to the plate? There was a lot of I'm sure a lot of negotiation over the last few months.
I didn't care which one stepped to the plate. I just wanted to, be able to fight for another belt, unify, get this Ring Magazine belt. That's one of my all-time dreams to have that belt around my waist, and I will on Saturday. But yeah, I didn't care what champion it was. I told my team, I was like, just get me one of them champions, and I take it from there. I collect these belts.
When Stanionis stepped forward and there was a deal, what did you think?
It was perfect. I think he the best one out of them other 2 guys. So. And he got a better background, way better fighter than those guys. I'm not gonna say way better, but he a better fighter than those guys. And I'm glad he accepted this fight. And we gonna put on. He did things that these other 2 guys wouldn't do. So, yeah.
He's got a European gold medal. He was an Olympian, undefeated in the pro ranks. When you watch him, what do you see?
Typical pressure fighter. Throw a lot of punches. Well, try to throw a lot of punches. Try to jab. It's nothing I never seen before. I know he never seen nobody like me before, so that's what he got worried about.
What kind of fight are you expecting?
From him?
From him.
What I just said, pressure.
Come forward, same kind of thing. You think he's
team.
going to do the same things he did against you, that he did against Maestri, that he did against Beterbiev?
I feel like he only know one way, and that's forward. And yeah, that's all he know how to do is come forward for pressure.
You know, when you talk to people in your camp, whether it's Eddie or people in your gym, two schools of thought on 47. One is like Eddie has often said, like he wants to win at least one title, win it outright in the ring. You were just talking a little bit about becoming undisputed. What business do you think you have to handle in this weight class? Is it becoming just unified, or is it becoming undisputed?
It's whatever I want, and I feel like, like I'm not looking past Saturday. So my main goal right now is to collect this WBA and this ring magazine and be unified and lineal champion. And after that, we'll take it from there. I'll talk to the team and we'll see from there. But right now, my mind is on Stanionis and bring back that WBA and that ring magazine belt this Saturday.
Why does it mean so much to you to win the belt outright in the ring? You were already, of course, the champion. When Crawford left, that was your belt.
Yeah.
Why is it so important to you to do it in the ring, to win a belt in the ring?
It's very important for me because it's a whole different feel. Like I said, when I quote unquote won the belt, I was in the bed, laying down in the bed, and I found out that I got elevated to the champion. I mean, it was like a weird feeling. Like I don't know if I wanted to be happy or like or what. Like it was like a corny feeling, like kind of like like I said, now like I don't want to sound repetitive, but I'm finally getting what I want, and I'm to be able to take a belt from a champion and win the ring magazine. Like that's everything I wanted, I always wanted. So I'm extra motivated. I'm excited,
You said it was a weird feeling, but didn't you kind of expect it? Like did you really expect Crawford to fight you, or for you to be able to, fight?
I expected to fight Crawford, or if he was planning on moving up, fight the number 1 and number 2 fight, and I would have been number 1 and number 2 and the second guy. So I was planning on fighting for it. I didn't think I was going to get elevated. That was never in my mind. I never thought I was going to get elevated for the IBF champ, to be IBF champ. I thought I was going to just fight the next person that was under me.
Will it mean more to hear yourself announced as the unified champion?
Yeah, it's gonna mean more. It's gonna feel a lot better, and you might as well say lineal because I'm fighting for the ring magazine. So, and that's a big thing for me, And like I said, I just want to stamp my legacy at 147 and be up there with the greats.
All right, Sergio. So part of this show is going to be gambling.
Love it.
We are both prolific boxing gamblers, so why not make it a part of the Fighter and the Writer? What's going to happen here, though, is that DAZN is going to be giving us $1,000. Starting today, we got $1,000 in our gambling bank account, and we're going to have that money over the course of the next year. We might have to replenish that money if we start losing some of these bets. We're going to take our $1,000 and spread it around on this card this week. We're going to go right over there to the desk and make a bet on the card this week, and multiple bets. So you got $1,000. What are you betting it on Saturday night?
I actually got $1,300 because you owe me $300.
Okay, that's not what you're betting though on this.
I understand that, so let's just stick to 1,000. All right, here's my picks. I'm gonna sprinkle $500 on Boots, but I'm gonna do $300 for Boots to win, and I'm gonna sprinkle $200 for Boots on a knockout. That's gonna pay a lot of money, but I see Boots winning that on that $500, and I'm gonna put the other $500 on Raymond Ford decision. Even though he is coming around his power, I love how he's slinging that right hook. He's hurting guys at 130. He's not dehydrating to go down to 126. There's gonna be another layer to the danger of Raymond Ford and another chapter of his new championship mission. I like him by decision, a big decision.
All right, so you've got Boots to win for how much?
Boots to win 300, Boots to win by knockout 200, and then the rest.
Five bills on Raymond Ford. Okay, I like that because I'm going to get to Raymond Ford in a second. I'm going to go $500 on Boots to win. I think I like him in this fight. I worry a little bit about Stanionis' lack of activity. I think it cost him something in that fight against Gabriel Maestri. He has not been off for as long, but it has been about a year since his last fight. So I think that's going to impact him in the second half of this fight. So 500 on Boots to win. I'm going 300 on Boots to win by decision. I'm not with you on this knockout thing. I think Stanionis is good enough to go the distance with Boots. I think he's going to be incredibly motivated for this opportunity. He's a pressure fighter, and if you look at some of the guys he's fought, like Beterbiev could punch, Gabriel Maestri can punch, and he went the distance with both those guys, won both those fights. So I'm taking 500 Boots to win, 300 for Boots to win by decision, and I'm putting 200 on Raymond Ford to win by decision. By decision, this one. I think Thomas Matisse is a good opponent here. Credit to Raymond Ford for taking this kind of fight in his second fight at 130 pounds. But I think Ford is going to be a class above Thomas Matisse in this fight. So 500 on Boots, 300 on Boots to win by decision, and 200 on Raymond Ford to win by decision as well. That is it for our first show here in Atlantic City. The fighter and the writer. How'd you think it went there, Sergio?
I think it went just fine. I mean, I just love the fact that I come first on the bill.
Yeah.
The fighter and the writer.
We'll negotiate that. DraftKings is the official sports betting partner of the fighter and the writer, and right now, all new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets when you sign up. Download the app now and use code DAZN when you sign up. The crown is yours.